614-524-4888. That's 614-524-4888.
Hey, welcome in. Glad to have you along. We're in commercial. Music is playing. We're ready to come out. And I'm glad to have you on the final show before Memorial Day weekend. So here we go in 3, 2, and 1. I know what you were all thinking when I was not here yesterday. You were thinking, oh, he's calling in sick on Thursday, and he's going to call in sick on Friday, and he's going to take an extra long Memorial Day weekend. Well, shame on you for thinking that. No, I was out yesterday, legit. Woke up with vertigo. The world has been spinning for a long time, but it's not been spinning in my eyesight until yesterday morning. But it went away by 11 o'clock. So back today, and glad to be with you on the final Bruce Hooley show before Memorial Day weekend. I love Memorial Day because it commemorates, of course, Gold Star families and the men and the women who have given their lives to preserve the freedom that we have here in this country. And we definitely need to celebrate it and focus on that. It's not just a Monday off. We need to focus on the reason why, because our world is spinning. Our country is spinning out of control, and it's spinning out of control because we don't pay enough attention to the price paid for the freedoms that we have. I know many military veterans. My father fought in World War II. I have exceeding thankfulness for the sacrifice. You can't give anyone anything more precious than your life, of course, but the next most precious commodity you have to give to others is your time. And anyone who has served in the military, unfortunately, many have given their lives, but all have given their time. They've chosen to put aside things they could do for themselves to serve us collectively. And so I have a great deal of respect for Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend. And the 3 summer holidays are all distinct, unique. July the 4th, we celebrate our nation's founding. We should celebrate it. We should call attention to it. All the things about our nation's founding that fall under the umbrella of God's authority and the fact that he has blessed our nation immeasurably. And then Labor Day, I believe work is good. I believe work is something that is essential to a functioning culture, and work ethic is, without it, we're lost. And we are progressing toward a time, we see our border overrun by migrants every single day who are given things that many other immigrants to this nation have worked to achieve. So all 3 summer holidays are fantastic, all for different reasons. And Memorial Day is one that we should pay close attention to and focus on the specific reasons for why we have Memorial Day. Now, Donald Trump held a rally last night, yesterday afternoon actually, in the Bronx. Now, if you've ever been to the Bronx, it is one of the 4 boroughs of New York City. It is traditionally, historically, the roughest of the 4 boroughs. I remember one time I had a friend who worked in the front office of the New York Yankees. I went to his office in the Bronx and took a cab to his office and caught the cab in Midtown Manhattan. Started to leave his office, and he said, "How are you getting back to your hotel?" And I said, "I'll catch a cab." And he shook his head, "No." And I said, "What do you mean no? It was good enough to get here. Why is it not good enough to get home?" And he said, "There are no cabs in the Bronx." And I said, "What do you mean there are no cabs in the Bronx?" And he goes, "They're not coming up here because it's not safe to be in the Bronx." Well, Donald Trump wants to make it safe in the Bronx. Donald Trump wants to make it so that you don't have to worry about being shot, robbed, beaten, or anything else. And the people in the Bronx are part of a city, New York City, that in the 2020 presidential election voted 84% for Joe Biden. So why is Donald Trump even bothering? I know he's not in court anymore, and he could be anywhere in the country. Why is he in the Bronx? Because he thinks, and I think it's probably foolishly, but he thinks that he can win New York. And even if he doesn't think he can win New York, it is a powerful political statement for Donald Trump to draw 25,000 people to a rally in the Bronx, New York. 25,000 people. Now, how many people do you think on a sunny Thursday afternoon would show up in the Bronx to hear Joe Biden give another one of his race-baiting speeches? Would Joe Biden be able to draw 2,500 people to a rally in the Bronx? If you saw Joe Biden's campaign appearance in Nashua, New Hampshire the other day, it was pathetic. Like, New Hampshire, what exciting ever happens in New Hampshire? The visit of an American president, I would think, would pack all 2,000 people who live in New Hampshire into one hall. But no, Joe Biden engenders no enthusiasm on the campaign trail because Joe Biden is barely alive. And his policies are killing our country. But when Donald Trump drew 25,000 people to a rally yesterday in New York City, even if Trump doesn't win New York, it makes a powerful political statement because it is broadcast on every network, grudgingly so, by CNN.
And what was the crowd like, and what kind of response did he get?
Well, certainly a bigger crowd than I think Democrats would like to see, particularly given this is one of the bluest counties in the entire country. Now, one of the things that was interesting to me is that the Trump campaign said that they were going to micro-target to get people from the community to come to this rally. I wasn't sure what to expect. I've gone to a lot of these rallies across the country, and there are often people who travel hundreds of miles to see Donald Trump, and they're not necessarily part of the community. However, one of the things that I found was that there were a lot of people here that were actually from the Bronx.
Shocking. A lot of people here who are actually from the Bronx. No, they didn't truck them in. They didn't bus them in. They came because they want to see Donald Trump and they want to hear Donald Trump and because they respond to Donald Trump. And this is what they respond to. This is how Trump opened the rally.
I'm here tonight to declare that we are going to turn New York City around, and we are going to turn it around very, very quickly.
And people believe that because Trump has done that before. And they would like for him to do it again. Now, Joe Biden has made their lives eminently worse. Donald Trump didn't really need to make that point, but he did.
The simple fact is Joe Biden is not getting the job done for the Bronx. He's not getting the job done for New York, and he's not getting the job done for America.
Well, he is if you're a leftist and you like to see America torn down and all of its institutions diminished and compromised. He's getting that job done. But if you're an everyday working hard, and Trump, this was what was great about Trump's rally yesterday, is he brought it down to the New York level. He talked about a development in the Bronx that was dysfunctional and not able to reach completion for the better part of a decade. And he was called in by, he said, Mayor Michael Bloomberg to fix it, and Trump did fix it. And now it's a flourishing development. He talked about a skating rink in New York City where he mocked the fact that they went to Miami, Florida. New York City officials did to try to get this ice rink built in New York City. And he was like, if you want to make ice, you don't go to Miami, you go to Canada. Yes. And he went to Montreal and he got the ice rink built. So he brought it down to New York, and particularly the Bronx's level, and he brought it down even closer with people whose lives have been dramatically impacted by the fact that there are unchecked numbers of illegal immigrants teeming across our borders.
And these millions and millions of people that are coming into our country, the biggest impact and the biggest negative impact is against our Black population and our Hispanic population, who are losing their jobs, losing their housing, losing everything they can lose.
If you were not listening, Kathy Hochul, New York governor, those are citizens of your state chanting, build the wall, build the wall. She has a wall up between recognizing a building campaign momentum for Trump and what she thinks will be a repeat of the tradition, which is New York always votes Democrat, no matter how inept or feckless those Democrats are.
I'll tell you, it won't make a difference at all, Jake, and that is for Donald Trump to be the ringleader of and invite all his clowns to a place like the Bronx. New York will never, ever support Donald Trump for president.
She might be right, but you know what? I bet Kathy Hochul also thought she'd win the New York governor's race by more than 6 points, which is how tight the race was between her and Lee Zeldin a year and a half ago. So if Biden got 84% of the vote in 2020 in New York, shouldn't Hochul have won by more than 6 points? And shouldn't the last poll, the Siena New York Times poll, show Biden ahead by 20, 30 points? How far is Biden ahead of Trump in the latest New York Times Siena poll about residents of New York State voting in the presidential election? Biden's lead is single digits, 47 to 38. Now, I'm not implying Trump will win, but I'm saying that if Trump is close in a state like New York, where it shouldn't be close, Biden is in a lot of trouble, And you know who else is in a lot of trouble? Brandon Simmons, the rogue Columbus School Board member, will tell you why he's in trouble and what valuable lesson he should learn from being in trouble next.
This afternoon, sun and clouds, a high 84.
All right, we're off and running. Glad to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. And we got a lot of good stuff to get into. So I'm going to do a little show prep here and be back with you shortly.
I'm Andy Robb on 98.9 FM, The Answer. Planning for retirement is no small task. If you don't know where to start, join Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group every Saturday at 10 and 2 for Retire Ready Ohio. Rodney shares helpful tips and strategies that just might change the course of your retirement. Listen every Saturday at 10 and 2, Retire Ready Ohio, with Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group. The firm offers insurance services, investment advisory services are offered through Peters Wealth Group, a state-registered investment advisor.
Hi everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
Bruce Hooley here, and if you watch the news at all, you know that Mike Lindell and his MyPillow family no longer have the support of big box stores or shopping channels the way they used to. They've been part of the cancel culture, and they're the targets, so they want to pass the savings of being canceled directly on to you by having a $25 extravaganza. When Mike started MyPillow, it was a one-product company. With the help of his dedicated employees, they now have hundreds of products, some of which you may not even know about. To get the word out, I want to invite my listeners to check out their $25 extravaganza. For instance, the 2-pack multi-use MyPillow, just $25. Pillow sandals, $25. There's towel sets, $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels, you guessed it, $25. For the first time ever, premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, just $25. Orders over $75 will receive free shipping too. This amazing offer won't last long, so go to mypillow.com and use my promo code Bruce. That's mypillow.com, promo code Bruce.
Hey friends, whether it's the melting winter snow or the spring rain that's coming, if you've got roof leaks, like water's coming in, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Well, actually there is, but you've got to take the steps. This is Bob Brands, and that step is to call Sky Roofing at 614-280-9308. Look, Sky Roofing is not some fly-by-night storm chaser company that comes in after a storm, claims they fixed your leaks, then disappears before it starts leaking again, leaving you to find someone else. No, Sky Roofing.
What was I looking for in there?
Serving Ohio homeowners for over 2 decades, and their pledge is to keep your roof like it was one of their own. So if your roof is in disrepair, maybe you've got some gaps in the shingles, or maybe the roof repair takes time well for you, but you just need a new one, the damage that's going to be caused by all of those leaks is going to be worse than the cost of getting it done. Please, favor, get it done right. Call 614-280-9308. Call today, get a great quote, learn more at SkyRoofingGroup.com. Sky Roofing is roofing.
Well, I'm guessing that your Memorial Day might include plans for a cookout. I certainly hope so, and I really hope you're not going to waste your time at your cookout by eating inferior beef. No, you need USDA choice and prime beef. Hopefully, with no hormones, no antibiotics ever, you need, you know what I'm going to say, Riverbend Ranch steaks. That's what you need. Ribeye, New York strip, filet mignon, or just plain old good ground beef. You need it from Riverbend Ranch steaks. Why? Because I said it. USDA choice and prime, always the best two cuts. Always, because there's no hormones, no antibiotics. If a cow gets sick, if a steer gets sick, they remove it from the herd on Riverbend Ranch, and it doesn't infect the other cattle. Not to overlook the fact that they built their own processing plant for their cattle not to be stressed on the way to market. They flash freeze it after it is perfectly dry aged, ship it right to your door, and you can buy a bundle every month or every other month. There's a lot to love. Everything about Riverbend Ranch Steaks. So check it out. riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. What can we learn about the hubbub over the secret memo that did not stay secret regarding the Columbus Board of Education's plans to close city schools? Well, what we can learn, what I certainly hope Columbus Board of Education member Brandon Simmons learns, is that if you speak up, if you speak out, if you think independently, you will be cudgeled into submission. Now, I don't like seeing people cudgeled into submission, but in Columbus City Schools, that is the way. Shall we review? James Ragland, former member, Columbus Board of Education, asked about charter schools, private schools, said, no, I think kids should have all the education choices possible, and parents should be able to pick the best one possible. James, you are breaking rank, James. And so there was pressure brought upon James Ragland to resign from the Columbus Board of Education, which he did not, but of course the union did not endorse James Ragland for a second term, and he was summarily defeated. Then, prior to the big $7.7 million operating levy that will net Columbus City Schools $100 million, the Equity Now Coalition, a group of 20-plus Black business owners in town, said, we're not going to support the levy. We're not going to urge people to vote for the levy because the Columbus Board of Education has not been transparent. And in fact, they called for the resignation of then board president Jennifer Adair. And that act of courage, and I extolled it at the time as the turning point in what could finally break the dominance of the teachers union, forcing policies upon the Columbus Board of Education that benefited the teachers but not the students. I lauded that, but only for a day. Why only for a day, Bruce? Because the day after the Columbus Equity Now Coalition came out with its truth-telling, they were sledgehammered into line, and they came out the second day and said, you know, the only reason we said we weren't going to support the levy was to get people to pass it. What? Yes, we wanted to call attention, get everybody upset, to tell them that they really should pass this. Wait, that's an odd strategy to say pass it by saying don't vote for it. They were left with no other ridiculous exit because they told the truth up front and couldn't lie their way out of it. So they came up with an absurdity, which is we said not to pass it because we really wanted to pass it. Okay. Now let me say about Brandon Simmons having a memo that advocated for a strategy to manage the furor over closing certain Columbus City school buildings, that we don't know whether he is telling the truth when he says he collaborated with other board members on the plan, or whether the union is telling the truth and the other board members are telling the truth when they say Simmons came up with this on his own. Now, if Simmons came up with it on his own, there's absolutely nothing wrong with him formulating a plan on his own. Nothing wrong with it at all. They may not like it, but that is his purview to do as a board member. Now, if Simmons is right, and he collaborated with other board members on it, then I have a question. Did Columbus Board of Education members who collaborated with Simmons break Ohio law by meeting to collaborate on a document if they had a certain number of board members getting together? That is looked upon by the state as an official board meeting. And if they had a official board meeting outside of board meetings that are announced, that would be against the law. We don't know. I know this. I serve on a 5-member board for my local school district, and we avoid the appearance of impropriety to the point where if there are 3 of us at a school event, basketball game, school play, whatever, we don't even sit together. We don't even commiserate together in a group of 3. 2's fine. 3 is considered a quorum. And we go to great lengths not to project, hey, they might be they're over there talking about school business and they didn't announce it. We're smart enough not to do that. Okay, we never, ever, ever would do that. So I don't know whether Simmons is telling the truth or whether the Board of Education is telling the truth. But here's what I absolutely positively do know. I know the reason why the union is fighting against this is because they don't want any school buildings to close. Why? Because if school buildings close, they're going to have to reduce staff. And if they reduce staff, they reduce what? Union members. Yes, they reduce union members. And they have 4,500 teachers and other educators. I'm not going to refer to them as professionals because I don't know if they're professional or not. But Brandon Simmons, if he didn't have it down before, he certainly has it down now. He and James Ragland and the Columbus Equity Now Coalition all got the message from somebody somewhere because he wrote an apology yesterday. Of course he did. I have let our district down, he wrote. The words on that document should not exist. I have a question. Why not? Why should the words on the document not exist? Let's say that the Columbus Education Association is right and he came up with the document on his own because none of the other board members that want him out now and have demanded his resignation are going to admit that they collaborated on the document with him, because then they'd be in hot water. Why is he wrong to come up with ideas? Don't you put a guy on the board to come up with ideas? I throw out ideas all the time to other board members. They throw out ideas to me. We do it in an official capacity. There's nothing wrong with coming up with ideas. You may not like the ideas. That's why you come up with ideas, is to debate their merits. But one of the other board members leaked the memo. Now, you tell me, if Simmons came up with a memo on his own and you have another board member, Sarah Ingalls, who coincidentally or not, is the board member who replaced James Ragland. She had the union backing, of course. Now she's doing the union bidding by leaking the memo. Her quote was very interesting. She said, "I was appalled and offended when I read it. Our work in the district is too important for these kinds of divisive and absurd tactics." What's divisive and absurd about coming up with ideas on how to close school buildings? You know what's divisive and absurd? Asking people for a levy, $100 million, and not telling them until they pass the levy that you're going to close buildings in the district. That is what the Columbus School Board did. Guess what Sarah Ingalls campaigned on to join the Columbus Board of Education? Ingalls, Democratic legal counsel for the Ohio House of Representatives, who previously worked as a union lawyer, campaigned on rebuilding trust and relationships with the union. Man, there are a lot of teachers' unions that are totally corrupt. A lot of them. I'm glad I don't have to deal with one that is, but there are a lot of them that are. And most of them are in big inner city schools where they spend more per pupil than suburban districts that achieve exponentially more than inner city districts. There's a way to fix it, but are voters in the inner city willing to vote out Democrats who have given them crappy policies for how many decades? 3, 4, 5, 6? Like, you keep voting for this, for the people who are not serving you, what do you expect him to do? Because if I'm a crappy board member and I'm getting voted back in every year, what am I going to think? What should I think? They like what I'm doing, right? They like what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing it. Why would they have any incentive to change if you keep reelecting them? Beyond me. Totally beyond me.
Okay, of course, silly. We wanted you to stop by for dinner as our way of thanking you. We want to thank you for the free gutter inspection, the free accident, and what's the other thing? Lifetime guarantee.
Well, not sure Mrs. Clark. Those are just leaf filter policies. Everyone who calls leaf filter gets a trusted produce amount for a free gutter inspection and estimate. And every leaf filter installation comes with a lifetime guarantee.
So it's not just us?
No, sir. We don't want anyone to worry about clogged gutters ever again.
You mean everyone gets this level of service?
Everyone. Just need to visit leaffilter.com/gold to schedule their free inspection.
Okay, but you must be starving. You work so hard.
Ready to love your gutter protection as much as we do?
Visit leaffilter.com/gold and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior bill.
Dennis Prager here. I invite you to join me on a Bible cruise this November. I'll share fresh insight during these discussions. Caribbean Paradise. Visit PragerBibleCruise.com.
Biden has started tracking Christians like cattle. Yes, you heard it right. He pressured banks to tag transactions for certain keywords. One of them is Holy Bible. It's a horrifying and creepy attack on our religious freedoms. It's made possible by a digital financial system that makes you a sitting duck. But you do have other options. I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnau, a news analyst, a best-selling author, and evangelical leader to people who cherish their financial independence. The Precious Metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Biden's anti-Christian bureaucracy while also preserving your retirement savings. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text FAITH to 989898. There are no strings attached. So text FAITH to the number 989898 right now and take action to protect your own prosperity.
You want your child to become all that he or she can be, but you are dissatisfied with the current public education system. At Heart of Ohio Classical Academy Dublin campus, your child will receive a top quality classical education based on the curriculum of the Hillsdale College's K-12 program, and it's tuition free for everyone. For more information on how to enroll your child or to register for a parent info event, visit dublinclassical.com today. That's dublinclassical.com. Heart of Ohio, tuition free, where students learn how to think. dublinclassical.com.
News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart.
I attended my daughter's baccalaureate service last night. Awesome event. And one of the reasons why it was an awesome event was because there were so many fathers there supporting their sons, supporting their daughters. Father's Day is coming up, and we would like to honor fathers by making available to them a $500 prize if they're the winner of the Father's Day sweepstakes. Go to 9890theanswer.com and enter the sweepstakes today. You can complete bonus entries every single day to get more than one chance to win. You could also win a copy of the book Winning at Home, Tackling the Topics That Confuse Kids and Scare Parents by Dan Seaborn, author and president of Winning at Home. I love organizations like Winning at Home, All Pro Dad, Tony Dungy's organization. There are many great organizations out there because the impact of a father in a home is invaluable. So why don't you enter the Father's Day sweepstakes today? Thanks to all the fathers out there who make purposeful their intention to raise their sons or daughters to be great citizens. Father's Day Sweepstakes 2024 open now for your entries at 9890theanswer.com. It is Memorial Day weekend, or will be. What is it officially started? It's Friday. Will it officially start what, 5 o'clock? I don't know. It started to me because I'm getting ready for a lot of activities, a whirlwind of activities this weekend. And I put flags in my driveway. I put a flag on my garage, put the bunting out. I'm proud, but more so I would say blessed to be an American citizen, to have had a father who served in World War II, in the armed forces. I'm amazed once we converted from an army fed by a military draft to an all-volunteer force that we've been able to sustain our dominance on the world stage. Do I have as much confidence in our military now as I used to? No. And the reason why is not because of the ineptitude of the actual soldiers on the ground. It's because of the ineptitude on two levels. A, the generals and the people who lead them, people like Mark Milley, people who did not take any account for the failed exit from Afghanistan that got our soldiers killed at Hamid Karzai Airport in Kabul, but also because of the Biden administration, which just has eviscerated our military, not just financially, but emotionally, psychologically. And it's all part, the administration's dim view of the military, of a wider view, a wider hatred of patriotism. And nowhere is this more clearly demonstrated than in the current attack on Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito. Samuel Alito is under fire from the New York Times because the Times is super mad, and all liberals are, about the 6-3 majority on the court of conservatives over liberals. They're just super mad about it, right? And if Biden wins a second term, he will do everything he can, which he's not really capable of much, but the people around him will also do everything they can to, they're not going to pack the court because they won't have the votes to do it, but they're going to continue to disparage the court. They hate Clarence Thomas. They hate Clarence Thomas because he's a black man who does not think like they believe a black man should think. He's an independent thinker. What did Joe Biden say about black people and the temerity that they have to think for themselves independently? He's not a big fan of it, not a big fan of it at all. In fact, he famously said, I'm looking for the cut right here just so you can hear it. Well, I can't put my fingers on it right now, but it's obviously, if you don't know whether you're gonna vote for me or Trump, you ain't black. In other words, if you're black, you got to vote for me. Can't be an independent thinker and be a black American in Joe Biden's America. Well, Samuel Alito is not black, so what's his crime? Like he's a white male, that's his crime for sure. But he's committed a more heinous crime than just being your average run-of-the-mill white male. Samuel Alito wrote the majority opinion in the case that overthrew Roe versus Wade. So, of course, Samuel Alito must be canceled. Samuel Alito must be diminished. Samuel Alito must be attacked. And if we can't get him on any of his rulings, because he's a brilliant man, we'll get him on things that he's done. Well, he really hasn't done anything, so what are you left with? Well, let's go after his wife. Or let's go after the fact that he flies flags that we either don't like or in a fashion that we don't like. You heard the hubbub last week about Samuel Alito's wife flying the American flag upside down when somebody in their neighborhood in the aftermath of the Capitol riot called Samuel Alito's wife the C word. And she felt like the media portrayal of the riots at the Capitol were problematic for the future of America, and so she flew the flag upside down. That didn't go anywhere. So they're back. The New York Times has now made a big deal out of the fact that at a second home Samuel Alito owns, he flew, and they have pictures of this, the Appeal to Heaven flag. Now, you might not know the Appeal to Heaven flag as well as you know, say, for instance, the Gadsden flag. The Gadsden flag is the Don't Tread on Me flag with the snake, yellow flag. The Appeal to Heaven flag is a white flag with a pine tree on it, and it says on top of it, an appeal to heaven. What is the history of the Appeal to Heaven flag? Well, it was commissioned by George Washington, and they hung a keffiyeh on George Washington at George Washington University last week. And George Washington is the father of our country, and our country sucks. And so you can't fly a flag that George Washington came up with, right? The Betsy Ross flag. Remember what was wrong with the Betsy Ross flag? Nike was going to put it on shoes. Well, Colin Kaepernick says America's lousy. And so you can't have the Betsy Ross flag on your shoes because that means you're a devotee of Orange Man bad. The Appeal to Heaven flag, commissioned by George Washington at the time of the Revolutionary War, was shamefully, according to the New York Times, flown at Samuel Alito's beach house last summer. What's wrong with that? Well, it was also carried by rioters at the Capitol on January the 6th, and is now, according to the Times, a symbol of support for former President Donald J. Trump, for the religious faction of the Stop the Steal campaign, and for a push to remake American government in Christian terms. Oh, the horror. To remake the American government in Christian terms. You mean like back to the way the founders intended it? For a moral and religious people? You mean that way? This cannot be allowed to happen, according to the left. And so Samuel Alito is in the crosshairs, not just of the wackos at the New York Times, but of the wackos in the U.S. Senate, including Dick Durbin.
Justice Alito is not paying attention to his responsibility to the court and to the American people. He can't play fast and loose with these political symbols without jeopardizing his own integrity.
He cannot fly the Appeal to Heaven flag, a Supreme Court justice who I bet at some point in time put his hand on a Bible to take his judicial oath. He cannot fly the Appeal to Heaven flag. Ah, Dick Durbin. If you want more crazy, well, Chuck Schumer, always happy to supply it.
I think what he did was really the wrong thing to do, and it casts some doubt on impartiality.
We're going to have Josh Pick in here today of Aptus Wealth Management, and I don't mean to put Josh in a political box at all. We talk apolitically. We do not talk politics on the Aptus Retirement Blueprint Radio Show. We talk investing and how you can get the highest return for your investment. I bring him up because I'm going to tell you right now, if you can invest in the Appeal to Heaven flag, now that the left says it hates it, invest. Because you're going to start to see this sucker on flagpoles all over America, leading up to the election as a way of quietly, boldly supporting Samuel Alito. Now, here's Noah Rothman, who hates Trump because he's one of these National Review buffoons who thinks that not voting for Trump somehow authenticates his conservative bona fides. But Noah Rothman makes a point about patriotism in America now is viewed by the left as extremism.
The left seems so eager whenever these symbols appear in the hands of Republican voters, or even presumed Republican voters, to anathematize them and therefore concede them to the right. The Gadsden flag during the Tea Party protests, the Betsy Ross flag in the wake of the 2020 upheavals, and now this, the Appeal to Heaven flag, which is commissioned by George Washington, predates the country, has a quote on it that harkens back to John Locke. No one besides the Times this week suggested that this was a symbol of insurrection, a symbol of criminality, and all of a sudden this is accepted wisdom, and only because the remedy to the supposed justice's sins here is always recusal. It is always to denude the power of the conservatives on the court, to erode the separation of powers.
He is right about that. He is absolutely right about that. And if you think I'm being too strong in saying that, you know, you can be patriotic and be labeled something that is nasty for America, just listen to Joy Behar on The View the other day.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says Make America Great Again, that tells people when you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Make America Great Again makes you a Nazi, according to Joy Behar.
This afternoon, sun and clouds, a high 84. Tonight, cloudy, a few thunderstorms, low 65. Partly sunny and humid on Saturday.
Sorry, I left the commercial graphic up a little bit too long there, folks.
Tomorrow night, low 61. On Sunday, cloudy, watch for a strong thunderstorm in the afternoon hours, high 83. Monday, wet for Memorial Day, mainly cloudy, some showers and a thunderstorm, the high 77. I'm Andy Robb on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Hey, Health Warriors, Dr. Brendan Schreiner here with Revive Your Health Radio on 98.9 FM, The Answer, where every week you're going to get world-class lifestyle education from myself and other healthcare practitioners. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, be sure to tune in to Revive Your Health Radio every week on 98.9 FM The Answer.
Revive Your Health Radio with Dr. Brandon Schreiner, Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 and Sunday morning from 9 to 10 on 98.9 FM The Answer. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Everyone knows the old saying, nothing lasts forever. Well, whoever said that obviously never bought a timeshare. Not only do your maintenance fees and assessment fees go on forever, they go up forever. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Over 10 years ago, I was a timeshare salesman. But once I saw the dark side of the business, I quit. I started helping folks get out of the timeshare. Since then, we've helped over 30,000 families by getting them out of fast timeshare. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have a question, we have the answer. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you to front, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-839-8484. That's 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
For 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative cell phone provider. And when I say only, trust me, they're the only one. Glenn and the team have been great supporters of America First, which is why I'm proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you the ability to access all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to, but without funding the left. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending the message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, and our military, veterans, and first responder heroes. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes switching easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Gorka or put 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use code Gorka. Join me. Make the switch today. That's patriotmobile.com/GORKA. patriotmobile.com/Gorka or call 972-PATRIOT.
Oh, honey, it's our favorite leak filter trusted pro, Matt. Matt, come in, come in.
Hi, Mrs. Sparks. You wanted me to stop by? Is everything okay with your leaf filter gutter protection system?
Okay, of course, silly. We wanted you to stop by for dinner as our way of thanking you. Yes, to thank you for that free gutter inspection, the free estimate, and what was the other thing? That lifetime guarantee.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Sparks, those are just Leaf Filter's policies. Everyone who calls Leaf Filter gets a trusted pro to come out for a free gutter inspection and estimate. And every Leaf Filter installation comes with a lifetime guarantee.
So it's not just us?
No, sir. We don't want anyone to stop clogged gutters ever again.
You mean everyone gets this level of service?
Everyone. They just need to visit leaffilter.com/Gallagher to schedule their free inspection.
Okay, but you must be starving. You work so hard.
Ready to love your gutter protection as much as we do? Visit leaffilter.com/Gallagher and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Sleep is fantastic. You may be able to grab a little bit more of it over Memorial Day weekend. Probably don't have to get up and go to work on Monday. Are you sleeping well? If you're not, kind of a you problem, because sleeping great has never been more affordable than right now. Mike Lindell, MyPillow, Mr. MyPillow, has a $25 sale going on at MyPillow.com. $25 for a MyPillow. It's probably a reduced version. I have a king-size bed, Bruce. I need a bigger pillow than just some travel pillow I can get for $25. No, friend. I understand your skepticism, but you do not know what a good guy Mike Lindell is, or you would know that he wouldn't advertise a MyPillow for $25 unless it was the original MyPillow. So yes, you can get a king, you can get a queen of any fill level. You can also get towel sets and slippers and slides and lots of other things like sheet sets and more at mypillow.com when you use my promo code Bruce. And if you get $75 or more in your total order, your shipping is free. mypillow.com, promo code Bruce. So I spent the lion's share of my professional career covering sports. And we don't talk sports on this show very often unless it intersects with culture. Like we had Cammie Kortokrax, the outstanding Ohio State softball player, on the show a week ago today. We talked to Cammie a little bit about softball, but we talked about her attitude, her gratitude toward her parents, toward the people who have shepherded her, led her, believed in her, And I like to accentuate those concepts because I believe they are good for young people and they are good for our culture to emulate. Cammie is raised by wonderful parents. She's aspired to great achievement, and she has achieved indeed those great things, and she has higher achievements in mind. We also talked about with Cammie the unfairness of the proposed Biden administration expansion of Title IX, which would not expand opportunities for women, which is what Title IX is or was designed to do 50 years ago, but would in fact take opportunities away from women. And we saw it just last weekend with a boy in Oregon who won the state's 200-meter track title against a field of girls because he identifies as a girl. And thankfully, even in a woke state like Oregon, where, by the way, did you see, 13 counties have now voted to secede from the state of Oregon. They want to join the state of Idaho. Because those 13 counties, which would make up, like, if you cut Oregon in half, north to south, the whole entire eastern half of Oregon would now become part of Idaho. Because they're just sick of the fact that Portland has more people in it and dominates the vote. And so they want to be Idaho. They don't want to be Oregon anymore. But thankfully, even in woke Oregon, people booed the boy who stole a state championship from a girl. So we talked to Cammie Corticrex about that. Now I want to talk about this landmark settlement that the NCAA, the governing body of college athletics, has reached in a series of lawsuits where athletes have been suing in this era where they can be paid for their name, for their image, for their likeness. You can use your status as an Ohio State athlete, as a Michigan athlete, as an Alabama athlete to get paid by boosters. As I said to Cammie last week, that used to be scandalous. Holy cow, an Ohio State player got a pair of $200 sunglasses from somebody. I wrote about that years ago when I found out this kid got a $200 pair of sunglasses, and he got, I think, a 2-game NCAA suspension for that. But the NCAA has always clung to its model where we can't pay these people because if we pay them, it'll get out of control. Well, you're right. If you do pay them, it'll get out of control unless you're smart enough to navigate a challenging situation, which if you're going to pay your athletic director like the outgoing but not outgoing soon enough Gene Smith at Ohio State, $2 million a year to be the athletic director, would it be too much to ask that a guy who started his career at IBM come up with a workable solution to athletes being paid, something reasonable, not unreasonable, like an Ohio State quarterback driving a $300,000 car? Could we find some middle ground between like starving, not giving them a cent, and letting them gorge themselves on a buffet of cash? Is there a middle ground in there? And I have identified for a long time a very workable solution to this. And if you've ever tried to tread on the name of Ohio State or any other school and make a profit off of it, let's say you think of a unique t-shirt or a unique slogan or something that might be tangentially affiliated with the Ohio State Buckeyes, and you made your own t-shirt and you walked down at 15th and High and you tried to sell it, they will be on your butt faster than a horde of angry honeybees because they want their share of you trying to make a buck off Ohio State. So what I've never understood about the school's position, about the people who are supposed to be smart enough to navigate this situation, people like Gene Smith, who've been grifting off the success of college athletes for their entire career, is why don't the schools establish, hey, if everyday Joe Schmo tries to sell a t-shirt with Ohio State on it, we shut down his enterprise right now. How about if a kid wants to come and play for Ohio State, we say we'd love for you to come, but here's what the value of the name Ohio State is. And guess what? Nobody in Columbus wants to do business with you if you're not an Ohio State athlete. So if you want to be an Ohio State athlete and you want to make money off being an Ohio State athlete, that's fine, but you're going to have to pay us for taking the name, image, and likeness of our university and marketing it at some pre-established level. And that level can be different for a softball player like Cammie Kortokrax because the interest in her sport is not as high as it is in, say, a quarterback like C.J. Stroud. Then you don't have players making millions of dollars a year. And yes, there are college athletes who are making millions of dollars a year off their name, image, and likeness. And the school asks nothing from them in return, which is stupid. Because you can't run a program where you have some people making 7 figures and some other players who practice just as hard and are just as essential to the success of the collective getting relatively or exactly nothing. But this is the head in the sand attitude of the NCAA on this matter. They chose to do nothing, 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 and now they're like, oh, please, Congress, come in and fix it. Sorry, we're not going to fix it. So I don't feel sorry for the people who are trapped in what they see as an untenable situation because they walked into the trap knowingly and willingly. I was sitting in a room in my in-laws' house in Phoenix, Arizona in the summer of 2017. At that time, I was working on a radio show with Chris Spielman, who many of you know, and you know Chris because of his wife's courageous cancer battle, his first wife, Stephanie. Chris is now remarried to a wonderful woman. But at that time, Chris was suing Ohio State. Why was he suing Ohio State? I thought he loved Ohio State. He played for Ohio State. Why was he suing Ohio State? Because Ohio State, without asking him, was using Chris's picture and other past athletes' pictures in the south end zone at Ohio Stadium to advertise for one of its corporate partners, Honda. And Chris was like, you're using my name, image, and likeness, and you're not paying me a cent, and I have a deal with another auto manufacturer that this is compromising. And boy, the pushback from Ohio State fans and from Ohio State University itself was vicious and unjustified. And now every fan in Ohio State is like, just fine. Oh, pay the quarterback $1 million. Let's go outbid everybody else in the country for this safety from Alabama. It's all fine. It's all wonderful. You know what Chris Spielman settled that lawsuit for? $140,000. Such was his love for Ohio State. He took all the heat. But what is happening now in the NCAA where these kids are getting paid ridiculous sums of money is a direct result of the courage he showed saying, hey, this is wrong. You can't just use my name, image, and likeness without asking me. And every one of these snot-nosed, greedy kids who thinks that the world is revolving around their own belly button owes Chris Spielman an apology. Will he get it? No, of course not. All right. I hope you have a great weekend, man. Celebrate Memorial Day. Give thanks for the Gold Star families and for the people who have lost limbs and all that to give us the freedom to do great things and give us the freedom to be idiots like protest on college campuses against Israel. Hope you have a party to go to, a graduation party or a Memorial Day party. And I'll see you back here on Tuesday.